I went from survival to stillness to overdoing. And now I'm learning to meet myself somewhere in between. Here is my partner. For those of you who didn't watch the video, what Londisa taught us about love, you should check it out. I will link the video in the description below. So I would like to know what I already know, but I would like you to share how your relationship with work rest evolved.
Sure. So I would divide it up into three different kind of times in my life. The first one I would say is in undergrad at university. At that point, work and rest was sort of a thing that I would schedule because you would sort of have class and then a break and then homework and then maybe sleep off. So it was very much sort of a situation where everything was very flexible. So for me, work and rest were sort of planned, and then the third part, fun, was kind of it's the same times each week. And then when I started working, everything was sort of at work during the normal working hours, and then on the weekends and after work, it was sort of separated. So that was much more of a compartmentalization, and things stayed where they were physically too. And then finally, it was when I was in grad school, and then I was doing school and work at the same time. And that was more like work and rest became kind of my whole life. And so that was interesting. But at that point, I think rest was more essential than ever because work was more than ever. And each of those phases had their own things about them that were, beneficial and things that were challenging. And I think I learned something from each of them. But I'm really interested to know, how has your relationship with work and rest evolved over time?
Well, so as I said in the beginning, my life was really going into extremes, because in the beginning I was surviving, and so that thing is, you never rest. When you're in a survival mode, your body never rests, never relax. It's always tense. And then I went through the healing journey, so I became the opposite, just wanted to rest all the time. And I was doing a lot of exercise with my body to relax, to heal, using different techniques. And I was not working, so basically, but I was working on my body. However, let's say that I never, yeah, well, okay. I was doing something, let's say, but I was more focused on 100% resting and feeling my body and just let things be and not overwhelming myself on having to work on something else than my body. So that's what I call a bit like I was resting. This was my kind of extreme moment that I was just wanting to take care of myself and rest, not thinking of anybody else. So that's also was a bit extreme. And then I got pretty lost because I didn't have like a bigger purpose than just work, being relaxed and taking care of my body and meditation and doing all those techniques to calm down my body and being relaxed. So then I became workaholic, and where rest disappeared from my life. This rest of, oh, how I feel today, should I just rest, go for a little walk, doing yoga, doing the breath work, or just sleep, because it's just how I was feeling. That's what I was living, in that second period I was talking about. It disappeared, which obviously for me, that I think is also, that was too extreme. I think, in my opinion and my life experience, extremes are not necessarily good. So that was kind of my evolution, with my relationship between work and rest. One was non-existing, another was just only work. So how about you? Like, was it hard for you to rest?
I would say that resting can be hard in the sense that it's sort of a choice in some ways to do nothing or to do something that when people ask you what did you did or what did you do, you say nothing, or I just stayed home and I rested and so forth. And I sort of view it as part of work. It's a part of work that takes up more of your time, takes up some of your free time in so many ways. But that if you don't do it, then your work suffers, and the things that you want to do and your bigger goals may suffer, whether they're work or school or even hobbies. So I think that was the hardest part for me, was it was sort of making a decision not to be doing other things that might be more fun. And you sort of have this sense that it's like an invasion into your private time of the things that you want to stay at work or want to stay in school. But ultimately I find that, like, if you make a decision you want to do this thing, then to be successful at it, you need, an appropriate amount of rest. So I think that was the hard part, was realizing that my own sort of human needs and fragility, that to be successful with something, you have to have some time to have your body be able to recover and prepare itself for, the strain and the stress of it. And so I think that for me was something that, I realized kind of slowly. I thought I was more or less able to just work and then, do fun things and not really need to rest too much, and it'll all be fine, And, the more I realized that that wasn't the case, the more I had to start thinking of rest as, as really a part of doing all those other things, even though it was in a different space and time. How about you?
So, so it was hard for me to rest.
Yeah, what was hard about it for you?
Oh, for me, it was pretty hard because actually I made a video related with work on my self-worth. So I was kind of tying up my work with who I was as a person. The value that I had as a person was connected with what I was doing. And yes, for me it was hard, yes, very hard, because I've learned since I was a kid that you had to be productive. You had to be doing something. You had to develop yourself. Either with good grades at school, or in your work, or if in your free time. I didn't have free time when I was a kid. I either was doing music. I was even playing in an orchestra, like and I was a kid, or sports, and then doing other stuff, like for example arts, and like going to museums and things, going to opera, like this kind of stuff. My life, I was always doing something, because this is how I was taught, that you had to do something. Like if you do nothing, it means that you're wasting your time. So I had to learn this in the hard way, because I was very tired, but I had to keep myself pushing through, because this is the only way I knew, until I've started with that part of my life, and the, let's say, healing journey. I learned to do nothing, just rest. But then somehow I started to feel bad about it, because I was like, oh, maybe I need to work and make some money and not just resting, So the hardest part about it is it's like learning to not being so extreme, learning to listen to my body and say, hey, look, maybe I'm not feeling too good today to do something. Maybe I just want to be at home and rest and just watch a movie instead of having a social life, or going to meet people, or going to a social event. And it's something that it took me time to learn, and I think I'm pretty good at it. What do you know now? What do you know now that you didn't know before about this relationship between work and rest?
What I know now is that in the long term, the benefits of resting over a long period of time, as much as you need, or the opposite, have really big effects. And I don't think I appreciated that before. And I also learned that the more you rest and take care of yourself and make yourself your best self, the more you have opportunities later on to do things that you want to do. And I think also to really clarify for yourself, what you want to do and what you can do, because it's a way of sort of maximizing your own potential, I think, to be your best self. I think everybody is really the version of themselves that's the most representative is their best self. When you're tired, when you're overstressed and all those things, you're still you, but you're not really the version of yourself that I think is the true one, which is the one where you have everything you deserve to have, which is to be well rested and to have all of the space you need to recover and prepare yourself for what you want to do. So I say, the long-term effects of resting as much as you need and want to, and the long-term effects of the opposite. And I think perhaps it's not really surprising to anybody that you have to get older and have more years of working experience to appreciate the effects of rest over years and many months and so on. But I really think it's been a revelation to me in the sense of looking back on it. How did this time period work? How did I get through it? It's like, well, we found the right balance, or I found the right balance for me, and I think that is something that in itself is an ongoing lesson as the demands on your life change, how much rest you need changes, and as other things that you want to do come up, and you may decide, well, I think I want to do this, and maybe I don't have as much time to rest, and maybe it's worth it, and it's constantly a choice and a balance and a self-evaluation, I think. How about you? What would you say?
So in my experience, which is like 100% different than his experience,
100% different.
I think that is good because people resonate with different people. We have all different stories, different backgrounds, so it's good to have two different perspectives, not just mine. So for me, it's kind of like for me, what I'm learning about this relationship,
this one, you mean?
No, this not. The relationship between work
and rest. Okay.
Work and rest is it is gonna be sound very kind of like typical, right? Like work-life balance. I think that for everybody means a different thing, and there's a lot of different opinions about this. But for me, work-life balance means something like doing your project. Doing my project, doing the things that I like, doing things that I can enjoy, and as well, if I can make the money without, that's great too. And making money, I think, is also an important part of this work-life balance for sure. But having the awareness and having the awareness that, well, I need to take rest, I need to have breaks, I need to have vacation, I need to have my time to be with myself, to enjoy my time with my friends or with my family or with other things than it's just my projects and work, for example. And I think like for me it's more about consistency than just okay, I'm gonna work on this for the whole year and then I will take 1 week of vacation. For me that's not work-life balance. For me that's just overworking, I think for me it's more kind of in the routine, in your daily habits, in the consistency of okay, what is what we do today, right? For example, like okay, so today we wake up, we have breakfast, then for example I do a stretching, have some time for myself, go for a little walk, and then okay, I'm gonna open my laptop or going to work on my project. Then doing this kind of daily routines, daily habits, and then have time for myself to do my workout or to have another walk or to do my own thing, have that time. I think having your own time is very important, of different, like separating from working, because when you're working sometimes, because I used to work online, so my time was working online alone, so that was kind of having my time, but at the end of the day, you're not having your time, you're working. So having this kind of consistency and daily habits and routines of having a healthy life balance, I think that's for me what is work-life balance, Do you have any other reflection about this?
I like what you said. Well, the only thing I would say about it, and I can't really add everything to what you said, but the last thing I would say about it is that, beyond work and life, there's also other fulfilling things, which, we can't really say are resting or work. And I think those are important too, but I think that, rest, in a way for me, I kind of see it as a part of work, and fun things I don't think so much are a part of it, because it's sort of like, I'm in a way where we kind of live for, and work is what we do to be able to live, and rest enables both of those other ones. What do you think?
Okay, so that's it. Thank you for listening one day more. Bye bye. Drop a comment. Let us know, what do you think. What is your relationship between work and rest?
Yeah.